to get it down on the ground.
We're going to be the first ones to have a supercharged 2021 Escalade.
Most people want to keep it as quiet as they can, not Bill. A hot rod sounding Escalade.
So this is a 46 Ford Coupe.
Recover the seat, little dash pad, be good.
When I say everything, this is everything. I want to drop it all the way on the ground, air suspension on it, late model 5.0 in this thing. Ooh. It's a total surprise for Ryan's dad.
Hell of a surprise.
She looks really pretty.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
My old friend Ryan called me, said he got a new project for us to do at Extensive. He's a north side of Houston neighbor. His family owns a company that builds and sells wreckers. In fact, his dad started the business back in the 70s. Ryan, what's up, man?
Got this project for you here.
These the ones you're talking about?
We're gonna start with this one here.
What year is this thing?
So this is a 46 Ford Coupe, and my dad bought it back in '86 when he turned 40. Tore it apart about 15 years ago, and here we sit. Same spot.
Oh, man. You know, I've heard this story a million times. A shop takes in the car, tears it apart, there it sits for years, and they never finish it.
I need somebody to put it back together for me.
Yeah?
Do something special.
How old's your dad now?
74.
Does he know about this?
Knows nothing about this project. He does so much for everybody else in the community.
Yeah,
Gives his shirt off his back. Doesn't do anything for himself, so it's time to give back.
Man, that's awesome. I'm in on it. You know, I've never had one of these in the shop. It's going to be a first for us, but, man, I've always admired these. You know, just looking at this car, it's going to be a cool car, but to have somebody, you know, think of you the way Ryan's thinking of his dad, that's a cool gift.
Looking for something that he can drive to the show, not only just for trailer queens, that he can get down on the highway and do 80, cold AC.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. We'll make it something he can burn the tires out of here, go straight to a car show, come back home with a lot of trophies.
That sounds good. This car used to be called Blue Thunder when he got it. You know how they used to nickname their cars?
Oh, yeah?
So we need to do something with that.
So it's got to be blue.
Yes, sir. Got to be blue. We're looking for a dark metallic blue that pops blue when the sun hits it. Looks
iconic body style, but this thing's got to sit right. So we're going to start out by building air suspension on this thing to get it really, really low to the ground with the right wheels and tires and get that stance perfect. Man, what you got under the hood of this? Is there anything?
Let me just show you.
Oh, man. We can't have nothing in here like this, man.
Got an old 350 Chevy in it, so that's wrong right off the bat.
I mean, that's definitely going to come out and just start fresh with a new 5.0 in this thing. Ooh. Man, when he pushes on the gas pedal, man, he's going to be happy.
That's what we need. You know, I can't wait for my father to have that smile on his face that he has for everybody else, but this time for himself.
Let's see what the interior looks like in it. Should I say lack thereof? Oh, yeah.
Recover the seat, little dash pad, be good.
No, man, there's nothing in here we can use.
You know, Bill, I know you got the outside all figured out and stuff. Then inside, take it to the next level.
Just taking it to the next level wouldn't be very hard on this interior.
I want your old man to get this thing back, open the door, and sit down in here and just feel like he's 40 again. How's his heart, man? He got a good heart?
Oh, he's got a good heart.
Because he might have a heart attack on this one.
But this will stop him taking those little blue pills, so we'll be all right.
Yeah, you won't need them no more after this, right?
We snuck you in while he's out at the races. Let me get it over to your place, and then we'll go from there. Sounds great.
Get him back rolling. I love that Ryan's giving something back to his 6 Ford. It's just that little extra that's going to make this cool old car even more badass. You know, most people see a car like this and go, man, look at that cool old car. But for me, when I see an old car like this, all I can think about is how many hours it's going to take to make this thing cool. You know, there's a lot of differences in customizing a new car versus an old car. A new car, you don't have to worry about lining up body panels. You don't have to worry about, you know, the hood latching correctly. I mean, you put wheels and tires, do your thing on it, slam the door, go about your business. So, you know, an old car, just the opposite. You have to address every single part on a car. There's going to be hours just getting the hinges lined up. There's going to be hours getting the window regulators working properly. There's going to be hours of just getting the window felt in. I mean, nobody ever sees that when you're done. With all the work we have to do this thing, there's only one thing to do. Quit talking about it and get into it.
Whoa! Has this thing always been back here?
You don't get out of the office much, do you?
No.
It's a total surprise for Ryan's dad.
It's a hell of a surprise.
Right? You know, I want to get this thing in the shop and blow it totally apart. We got to make this thing really low. I want to do air suspension on it. I want front, or just kind of see how it looks. Once it's up on the lift, we'll see if there's anything underneath we can salvage.
Find out what's underneath all this.
Yeah, I'm really nervous, man. This thing, you can tell the body work's been done a long time ago, and there's a lot of it on here, so it's going to take a lot of work.
This thing's already got blue thunder on the back. Are you staying with blue on this?
It'd be sacrilegious to change that, right? You know, we got to bring old Blue Thunder into the 21st century. You know, this engine definitely ain't gonna cut it. It's got a Chevy engine now. You don't want that. We're on a late model 5.0, 6-speed transmission, new wiring harness, pedal, column, radiator hoses. When I say everything, this is everything.
So for the interior, looks pretty complete. It's got an awesome seat in there.
I'm gonna take this out and bring it in the office for you.
Score. New seat win.
But everything other than that, you know, there's nothing there. So new bucket seats, bench seat in the back, of course, stereo equipment. Get with John, see what kind of equipment we need. Let's get it ordered, get the carpet, get the headliner, get the window felt, window regulators, you know, one-piece side glass.
We're building the whole car, everything ground up, 100%.
Man, that's exactly what we're gonna do. You know, this thing on here that we're not gonna handle.
There's a whole process after process on this. Let's call it blue process.
Well, let's get to the first process, getting this thing in, get to it.
Got it. Let's do it.
This car's been sitting around rusting for who knows how long. So we'll start by getting it up on the lift just to see how long our to-do list is. Woo, look at that. Had intentions of just doing suspension on this, but you know, after looking at this frame, it's got to go. Our transmission's going to be a lot bigger. It's a big 6-speed transmission, so it's way bigger. So we'd have to cut all this out to make room. The easiest thing to do is just get rid of this old frame and just go over to the steel rack and build a new one. Just unbolt the body, get it off the blast, and we'll get the body shop guys busy for a while. Man, Timmy, we thought we were just going to be able to salvage this.
That's like demoing a whole house to build a new one, but leaving the cracked slab. You want a good foundation to start with. If not, it's just going to be problems down the road. Now we have the body separated from the chassis. Fasten the body to a body cart. We'll send this off to get media blasted, and we'll see how it looks when it comes back from media blast.
You know, I can really appreciate a surprise like Ryan's going to do for his dad with this coupe. I surprised my wife, Jennifer, by customizing her cars a few times. I might have gone a little bit too big for her taste, but she's got a new truck, and I'm ready to try one more time.
Did you steal the wife's car?
Yeah. You know, I want to surprise her. You know, I want to do a couple things to it. You know, she called it Betty, so I want to get Betty hooked up.
So is this going to be a little surprise or one of your SEMA take her car, we're taking a SEMA 2-week surprises?
Like 2006 when she backed into something, and I was like, oh, I'll just take it to the shop and fix a little dent on the back. And 2 weeks later, it was in Vegas at the SEMA show, totally repainted, full interior stereo. She wasn't too happy. She couldn't haul groceries in the back anymore, but I think we got to get it down on the ground.
I knew that. I knew it for you said it. I knew exactly what you were going to say.
I mean, look at that fender well gap there. Man, that's way too big, right? We'll drop it down probably about 6 inches, you know, just a little bit, about 6 inches. You know, fill that up with a nice big wheel and tire. And, you know, we just wheel and tire, right?
Something to separate it from the rest, but still make it drivable. Do they even have a kit to lower this?
Man, that's what we do. So we got an empty rack. We'll just pull it in, pull the wheels off, see what happens. I mean, we might even get it in there and just decide just to put air suspension on it and get it down really low.
That's the bill, I know. I don't know of a better way to say I love you and thank you than dropping her new Escalade to the ground, put some big wheels on it, and making her stand out.
That's an extensive way, right?
Yeah.
You know, good looking stance with the right wheel and tire, it just gives it that attitude, that aggressive classiness. Set her apart from, you know, all the other soccer moms and, you know, pulling into teacher parking lot. She can feel special the whole time she's driving it. You know, won't be another one like it. You know, she works hard every day, pretty much takes care of the kids because we always work late, getting home late. I want to get her hooked up.
It definitely takes a lot to put up with what we do. It's a good call.
Yeah, she's been needing a little surprise lately.
She married you, she has to like surprises.
So what are we doing to Mom's C4s on it? You know, make it real easy for her to get in and out of.
Oh, yeah.
She'll love it.
Oh, shit.
No, you know, I want to give her something that's cool, right?
You know, back since the beginning of Extensive, I've always kind of experimented with my wife Jennifer's cars.
So is this gonna be like Mom's last car? The last surprise?
No. You know, I don't know what we're going to do yet. See how difficult this is. This is all new platform underneath. I heard it's independent rear suspension now, so we're about to find out.
With their 2021 Escalade, I want it to be custom and cool. But, you know, maybe just a little more understated than I have in the past.
Man, appreciate it.
Sir?
You know, me and Jennifer have been together since before the beginning of Extensive Metalworks, so she's been around the car game just as long as I have. You know, as soon as Jennifer gets this back, she sees all the time and effort we put into it, how cool it looks. That's definitely going to put a smile on her face. You know, on the 2021 Escalade, it's been totally redesigned. This is 100% brand new, top to bottom, and it's unfamiliar territory for us. It's crazy how much cars have come in the last 5 years, 10 years, but, you know, that's part of it. This is definitely a learning experience, and, you know, you grow with the technology in a car, advancing with it every year. We want to stay up with.
What'd you figure out?
Just lowering springs, we got to change that out. You know, we'll put new coils on it so it just drops it down, gets rid of that big fender well gap, you know, with a nice wheel and tire. It's going to fill all that up and to keep it all black, too. Yeah, that's going to set the whole aggressive tone to it, right? And speaking of tone, Muffler, you got to change that tone, too. It's a 6.2 in this, and you can't really tell it any different from a Tahoe that's got a 5.3 in it. So we want to wake that up a little bit, too, and gets rid of those restrictors and opens it up a little bit. You got to make it look good, got to make it sound good, and you got to make it run good. We need the Pro Charger.
Y'all are definitely two peas in a pod. Both of y'all want to go fast.
You know, there's nothing available for this. It's so new, so Justin will have to build whatever it needs. And these little steps can't have the pontoon look, right? We got to get rid of those. Put the retractable steps on it so it looks nice, clean, streamlined, lower the ground.
Man, I'm not going to lie. When you first told me you're going to surprise her, I was a little nervous myself because I've been a couple of these surprises, and they go off the charts sometimes.
Sometimes.
You know, most of the time I would really go for the full air suspension, lay it on the ground. But, you know, I want to make something that's perfect for her. So I have...
First thing we're going to do the Escalade is get the stance right. We're going to take the struts out, put new springs on this thing, and we put it back together. It's going to lower the vehicle but still give you the same ride. So this basically holds the truck up in the air, and the shock dampens it. So when you hit a bump, it doesn't keep bouncing. By getting a new cool spring that's a little bit lower, it's going to lower this down to, say, right about here somewhere. It should be about 1.5 to 2 inches lower.
What we're going to be doing is we're going to be compressing this spring in order to get the shock out. If you don't have this specialty tool, you should probably not try and do this at all. It's pretty dangerous, you know, to be messing with something that's compressed and has a lot of pressure in it. We'll be able to loosen this nut up here and remove the shock. So the only thing we're going to be changing out is the spring to lower the ride height. We'll reuse this and the boot. Only thing aftermarket should be just the spring.
Ooh. Lowering springs for you, sir. You should bring it down a little bit, tighten up that wheel gap, make it sit right.
Now we got to work on it.
Yeah, you do. Later.
All right, later, bud. Bring it down just a little bit, but not enough that every time she goes over something, she's got to hit a bump or she's got to worry about rubbing it off. Now we have all the springs mounted. We're going to bolt them on the truck. One step closer.
The 46 Ford is back from Media Blast, and it's in bad as shape as we thought. Before the body shop guys get their hands full with the body, the owner wants us to get it all the way on the ground with a full custom air suspension. You know, it's part of the surprise for his dad. You know, it's exciting to get a new project in, a new frame started, and just to build somebody's dreams. Everything to start starts with a frame. Let's see what we got here. 32. It's on the money. You know, it brings you back to being a little kid and building that first little model. I mean, that's basically what we do every day. Get to bring back our childhood memories of building all that cool stuff, but now we get to do it for real. We've got our measurements here, 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 and that'll do it. Right on a drawing that we have on the table, I can see actually in real time how the frame's gonna look. So there's no mistakes on mismeasuring. We're gonna go right off our templates, transfer them right to the saw, start chopping, start putting together. Got it, man. That's all laid out.
You know what that thing looks like? 46 Ford frame.
Damn right.
Rule of thumb here is cut everything in twos, two sides of the frame. So it's gonna make two cuts same time, so they're exactly the same. I guess the difference between building a custom frame and an OEM frame would be you could put things in different places for clearance issues, and definitely cool factors. You know, you can make things different because they're cool. Now I got all the pieces cut and beveled, now it's time to go ahead and start assembling this frame.
They're looking good, nice, square, level. This thing is gonna be right. So now we're off to mocking up the suspension. You know, on the 46 Ford, we're gonna build a 2-link suspension with air. You know, I prefer a 2-link suspension on a vehicle like this just because you can place the bag wherever you want it to give it maximum lift. On this, we're shooting for about 11 inches of lift, so you get a lot of lift out of it with a really nice ride quality. And the other advantage of the 2-link is with it bolted super tight with the U-bolts, it doesn't allow it to sway like a 4-link suspension and have to compensate with sway bars. That's why we're going with a 2-link on this versus a 4-link or other types of suspension.
Just trying to make sure the front of the 2 links are even and equal, the same height. So I'm putting my flat bar right here, basically as a leg. So I'm going to go ahead and clamp it, and I'll be able to manipulate this height-wise. I need 9 7/8 on this side, so I'll be able to adjust this up to 9 7/8 on this side. It's a lot of measuring, a lot of looking across everything, make sure everything's parallel, everything's even. But taking all this time to do all that, I'll pay off in the end because everything will be perfect. Everything's gonna be straight and true. That's exactly what we're looking for.
As big as a frame build is, the interior in the coupe is non-existent.
Yes, this car has absolutely no interior in it. I think when it came in, it had a folding chair maybe in it. That's actually kind of the fun of this. With it being a blank canvas, there's nothing there that dictates what it has to be, what has to go where. Everything's gone, so we get to pick where everything's at, place things where we want it, and do our own design in it. I've got a template for my kick panel, a template for the door panel, and for the rear quarter panel. Everything's marked off where they line up together in the car so that everything has the same height that I need, so I can sketch this out to get all my patterns laid out so that everything will fit. Bill's thought and his idea is he wants Dad to get in his car and sit down and feel like he's still in his old hot rod. He doesn't want anything too new and too outlandish in this.
He wants nice, clean, subtle lines in this. We want to get this thing just a nice, clean, classy feel, so when he sits in it, he can feel like he's back in the old days. It's kind of one of those great things working around here. A lot of times we're just given free will to do whatever we want, so to be able to sit down and think it out and dream up something just different than everybody else's is really what makes this job so much fun. All the way from the beginning aspect, all the way. Every bit of it makes it fun because you get to design everything from your own ideas and your own perspectives. Racy, racy, race. Or for the new generation, delete, delete, delete. Good thing about these sketches, it's all fluid, so it's constantly changing, so you're never stuck to one thing if you got an eraser. And that's going to be a tall ridge here. So this is our insert fabric that we're going to use just for our accent color. That's going to be going here in our doors and also here. Plus we'll have it worked into the seats, so it's just that little extra pop just so it's not all the same fabric in the whole car. So now it's time to bring Blue Thunder back to life.
We got the stance on my wife's 21 Escalade just right. Now I want to give it a better overall tone.
Bill wants to get rid of this stock muffler. It works from the factory. Most people want to keep it as quiet as they can. Not Bill. It doesn't have the rumble he's looking for. The wrecker. You know, this new muffler flows a lot better than the factory does. It gives a little throatier sound. Jennifer's gonna love it. What school teacher wouldn't love pulling up to the parking lot with a hot rod sounding Escalade? First one, that way I can make sure it's square with the frame this way. Then I'll know which way this pipe needs to go to meet this one. Not only do I need this to go over, I also need it to come down. So it's got to be like a 45 down and 45 over to one direction. Basically, what I'm doing right now is trying to figure out a little jig so I know how to bend it. So I don't have to make 52 trips to the truck and back. I can just make me a little deal here. So I measure from this line down is 2 inches. So if I take 2 inches out of this right here, it should give me exactly what I need. According to the jig, this should flow exactly where I need it and give me an exact angle this way and this way. When it fits good, now it is welded up. Bill's wife's got a brand new sports car sounding Escalade.
My wife's a little like me. She likes to give her vehicles a little extra horsepower. So I asked Justin to add a Pro Charger. Because this truck is so new, he's gonna have to figure out the whole setup.
It's pretty neat that we're going to be the first ones to have a ProCharged 2021 Escalade. We're going to come up with our own kit, and we're going to make this thing work. We should see anywhere between 150 to 200 extra rear-wheel horsepower on this thing once we get it tuned. We're going to try to squeeze the intercooler through here without removing the grill. So this one here is their what you would call like a stage 2 intercooler. So if you look at the thickness of the core, it's about a ½ inch wider than the one that would come in your base model kit. This one here is gonna provide a lot better cooling for the extra air we're about to shove in this motor. Nope. We're running into clearance issues, these air louvers right here. So since it's such a large intercooler and such a tight space, to be on the safe side, instead of trying to force it in there, we're gonna go ahead and remove the bumper and remove the support so that we can just drop it right into place. With this being a 2021, it's the first time pulling one of these bumpers off, so it can be a little time consuming. You know, you don't want to get in a hurry. You want to make sure that, you know, you get all the hardware out. You know, it's easy to, you know, miss a bolt here and there. And the last thing you want to do is piss off Bill's wife. So we need to make sure that we take our time and do it right the first time. There we go.
Just to fit the brackets on the supercharger. It's taking a bit more work, but it'll all be worth it in the end.
So that's what happens when you're dealing with a new vehicle. Something, you know, seems as simple as taking a bumper off can eat up most of your time. So this here is our supercharger. It's the P1X, their high output version. So now that we have the blower installed, all we gotta do is connect from our blower to our intercooler, from our intercooler to our throttle body. So the reason we use the rubber couplers instead of everything hardline is because you have vibrations of the motor, and whenever it torques over, it'll want to move. So you need to have movement. So that's why we're going with all these rubber couplers. So right now we're putting the belt on. We're trying to adjust the tensioner to make sure that we have the most amount of tension, but also where the tensioner is within range, because you don't want it maxed out where it's too tight, where the tensioner is not doing its job, and at the same time you don't want it too loose. So we're just fine tuning it right now to make sure we have it set right. Next step is to get our fan shroud back in. Once our fan shroud goes back in, then we get to start doing some of the custom piping and getting this thing wrapped up.
Suspension on the coupe all mocked up. Now we can make the custom bag mounts.
Let's block it back up. Even something just as simple as a gusset for the upper bag mount. I mean, somebody just looking at it just looks like a piece of pipe, but you got to take into consideration where the shock's going to be, where the differential's going to be, where the air fitting's going to be. You want to make sure it's right. You want to take your time to notch it right, cope it right, sand it right, and attach it right. Done, daily. On this particular chassis, we're going to use a diagonal link, which mounts a fixed point of the frame over to the moving part of the suspension itself, and it keeps everything 100% true all the way up, all the way down. There's no deflection of that whatsoever. We're able to build that into this suspension because there's nothing in the way. A lot of the times there'll be a gas tank in the way or exhaust in the way, or a lot of things could be in the way once you're building a suspension around something that's already there. The advantage of this is nothing in the way, so we can build a diagonal link. Everything's going to stay nice, true, straight up and down, and perfect.
You know, back in 46, these coupes didn't have much of a speaker system. So John's going to bring the audio into this century, but he's also going to keep it with his classic look.
They didn't have subwoofers in 46, so what we're going to do is actually take and disguise that subwoofer. So basically, when you pop the trunk and look in, all you'll see sitting there is a suitcase and think it's a piece of luggage. You'll never even know that it's a subwoofer. For the corners of the suitcase, I want them to be rounded. So in order to do that, I'm going to take the PVC and cut it into quarters. That way I can use those as corners of the box and then just glass them from the inside. It's kind of like making oatmeal. Put a little water in your bowl, put a little bit of oatmeal in there, stir it up. You don't want your oatmeal too lumpy. Martha Stewart, eat your heart out. All we're doing with this is just reinforcing our PVC corners. So the first step we're going to take to make this thing look like a suitcase, we're going to use a scoop bit. We're going to run around the outside edge of the top, a little bit on the bottom, nice rounded over corner. We got the bottom edge of it. So next thing I'm going to do is a little bit of body work. Take this fiberglass filler here, hit my outside corners, get them smoothed in, a good round and smooth. Next thing we'll do, cut some lines in this, put some grooves in it. Don't mess it up. Really got to take our time to make sure we don't screw this up. And it could turn into a whole remake, and ain't nobody got time for that. I have confidence in myself. Oh God, I moved it. We'll also have to add a groove to the top edge and the bottom edge for all the material to roll into. So we're just going to take and work our way around the box, rolling it, flipping it to get our groove in it. All right, now that we've got all the grooves cut in it, this thing's really starting to look like a suitcase. So the next thing I gotta do, just set it down to a little bit of detail sanding on it. This thing will be ready to wrap.
Fabricated the custom frame and suspension for the 46 Ford on the table. Now it's time to get it up underneath the body.
Oh, Blue Thunder's coming along. I mean, it's really starting to take shape. We got all the old yuckiness out. So from the firewall back, 100% true square straight. But
What I'm is locating the front cross member. Once that's located, you know, the height you want, that locates our wheelbase.
We're at 141 3/4. We're 16 too far.
Hammer's right there.
That's it.
So we have this dead center of the fender wells. Now that we have our front end on, we know where that center is. Next step is just connecting the cross member all the way down the frame. This car is gonna run unbelievable, ride really good, and really low. It's at the perfect stage to really start creating. You know, normally we know exactly what we need to install the Pro Charger, but with the 21 Escalade being so new, Justin has to reinvent the entire wheel on this one.
So with the supercharger, we're gonna have pressure inside the pipe, and the last thing we wanna do is to lose a connection. So what we're doing now is we're putting a bead roll on the end of the pipe so that the silicone coupler, whenever we clamp it, doesn't wanna slide off under boost. This is the flange for the blow-off valve. Typically, it would tie back into the inlet pipe to the supercharger. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna vent it to the atmosphere. So now we got our 3.5-inch aluminum prep. We got our hole drill for our mass airflow sensor flange. The mass air and the O2 sensors work together. So if we dump off any air to the atmosphere, throw off our O2 sensors and the computer won't read right. So now that we have our blow-off valve flange on, our mass air flange on, and our extension piece that goes into our coupler, now we can go install it on the vehicle. We can go ahead and pre-install our new blow-off valve. They actually sound better on supercharged cars because on a turbo car, they only open up under like acceleration. On a supercharged car, it's the opposite. It's open all the time until you give it gas, and then it'll close, and that's how you kind of hear more of that swishing sound. So now that we got the flange welded on, we got the 2 screws to hold in our sensor into our piping, just like we want it. We can install our charge pipe and put some clamps on, and it's ready to fire up. Now, Bill's wife's definitely gonna have the fastest SUV in the faculty parking lot now.
The best days at work are always with a dog. If I do set up a table for me and this guy happens to use it for a bed, I'll put my stuff on the floor. We got this 2021 Escalade in the shop. It's already a good looking truck. It was good looking off the factory floor. But Bill being Bill, it always needs something. These steps just aren't gonna cut it. So he wants a retractable step. When you open the door, it folds down. When you shut the door, this will tuck back up, fold away, and you'll never see the step at all. It's gonna make it look sleek, and it gives it a custom touch. First step we're gonna do, just unbolt the old step, take it completely off, get it out of the way, and then we'll start with the new one. This motor here will go to a door pan. When the door opens, it lets us know this needs to come down. When the door shuts, it retracts this back up. See how hands-on my helper is? It's a good helper right there. But we need to pull these plastics off. The new plastics have a little indentation right here, so when this folds up, it tucks right in tight and it makes it disappear. Now we have the plastics on there that will allow the step to go up, and it'll fold right with the new plastic. It looks, or old one, to get in and out.
You know, I'd be lying if I wasn't a little nervous to see what Jennifer thinks. But I think this time, we nailed it. You know, her Escalade's still classy, but custom, just the way she likes it. You know, well, I hope. You know, as you know, I got a long history of customizing cars, and something you might not know, I have a long history of customizing my wife's cars, too. The thing I got her was a Cadillac SRX. Took it to the Las Vegas SEMA show and killed it. The bad part about it was getting it home, but it had so many speakers, there was no place to put the groceries, so she hated it. Every time I cut into one of my wife's cars, I'll always have the best intentions. I always want to give her something that she can be proud riding around in. You know, that's the feeling I get when I drive around in a cool car. I want her to have that same feeling. And my wife driving a totally bone stock car, it hurts. It hurts seeing that. It's kind of like, you know, if I was a roofer, my roof was leaking, that's something you just can't have. You know, I've been known to maybe go a little overboard here and there, but, you know, one of these days, I'm going to come up with that perfect combination for her that she's just going to totally love. Thank you for lunch.
No problem.
Thank you, thank you. Hey, I wanted to tell you something. Remember, you know, I took the Cadillac in, had a recall, and I took it from you? Mm-hmm. It didn't really have a recall. I wanted to surprise you with something special. So I took Betty, and I've done a couple things to her to make her stand out.
Like?
Well, you're about to see. You ready? You excited?
No.
Timmy's gonna bring it around right now.
This is not the first time that Bill's taken one of my cars. We've had some cars where he has taken them and he's done things to them and they have not turned out well. That's a little stressful for me. Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow. Okay, so not so bad. I'm very proud. I appreciate you listening. It looks awesome.
Surprise?
Yeah, no. Beautiful.
Are you pleasantly surprised?
I'm pleasantly surprised. Thank you. I'm pleasantly surprised. She looks beautiful.
So I did good?
So far. I don't know. There might be more. I don't know. From what I can see right here, yes.
There's a little more.
She rides the same.
Better. You know, the first thing you notice when coming down the road, you know, well, Betty just looked way too tall. So springs, you know, took it all apart, took the coil springs out and replaced it with the shorter spring to give it that low stance, to get rid of that fender well gap. And, I mean, you got it all blacked out already. You had to have the black wheels.
Of course. Now, if I had to pick wheels, that would be something that I would pick. They're very clean, very pretty, very nice.
Yeah. And it's still going to retain that factory Cadillac ride. Classy.
Oh, the runners. Oh, I knew you were going to do that. It looks beautiful. It looks beautiful.
Can't have that old pontoon look, just to give it that clean, streamlined look.
I'm going to cry.
You know, after 28 years together, you know, every once in a while you got to show your appreciation, right? And, you know, when you have an automotive shop, you're a car guy, you show your appreciation and giving your wife something really cool to drive.
You did good. You did good. I will never say it again.
I was surprised as you were when Bill said, nope, we're going to go just a couple mods on this one.
They haven't always turned out as well.
Let's check out under the hood. I got a little surprise under there for you.
Oh, wow.
You know, they don't make a kit for this. So Justin adapted everything and made the whole ProCharger work on this.
So all this is custom?
Yep, every bit. It runs real now. So Betty is gonna get it. You're definitely gonna make up some time and have plenty of extra leisure time now.
Cool.
I knew you were gonna love it.
Yep, it's awesome. It sounded pretty.
Yeah, it sounds good. It had a little whistle to it. You needed that. Just way too quiet from the factory. I mean, looking at it, it's gotta have a little deeper tone to the exhaust. So you get that whole attitude. When you roll up.
Oh, she's definitely gonna draw some attention.
Most definitely.
It's nice.
I'm glad you like it. I think we did good. If she was making this car herself, I think we gave it her exactly what she would have picked out.
She looks really pretty. This is really nice. You did a great job, and I'm very flattered. And all the other teachers are going to be really jealous. Beautiful.
Just like you.
Oh, my gosh.
Cool. What we got is a 2017 F-150 pull-out with this engine. The 5.0 Coyote is a great platform for making a lot of power. We're going to change a couple things. We're going to change intake, put headers on it, and with 100 rear-wheel horsepower. So this thing's going to make plenty of power for old Coupe. How do you start stretching every day, all day? On the really big jobs like the 46 Coupe, you just know it's going to be a marathon. Ow.
So we're stripping down the engine, taking all the old stuff off, stuff we're not going to use.
Every step you take, there's 100 more to go.
We like to recycle. Just like going to pick up old dogs, we get old motors.
We got a good start with a custom chassis, suspension, and interior. Next step's finishing up the front suspension. Keep going on the bodywork and make that interior all from scratch. But man, once Ryan's dad sees Old Blue Thunder, this is definitely going to be something like he's never seen before.